There he goes again. I'll talk about going to Australia. I graduated from college somehow. Panic attacks in classes and just did what I learned in therapy and made it through in investigative reporting, BS in journalism. I got relatively good grades and still kind of a fanatic in my thinking, a religious fanatic. I remember this blonde girl from Austria came over to visit me, and obviously she wanted to do more than a visit to risk what she did. She had a knife up her sleeve in case she was attacked. I guess Americans, even this small, safe town of Bowling Green where I finally graduated in Ohio, it's danger, danger, danger. And it was the just perfect opportunity. We were sitting on the swing outside the house that a group of guys were renting, and I did nothing. And R.K. Tucker, a professor, I related this story to him, and he said, well, what happened? Did you accelerate it like we talk about in class? And I said, nah, I'm just real conservative in that area. But when I went to Australia, after I graduated, I made it into a school of the performing arts. And I thought it was great. I got in with a portfolio of photographs that I took all around the world. And I wasn't fortunate to have these experiences. I wasn't blessed to be able to do this. It's because my freaking dad worked in the steel mills in the summertime to get through medical school and in the flats of Cleveland. And so I was Michaelized. I was really Michaelized and Wandaized to be able to do this. And they thought, well, as long as he's in school, we'll pay for everything. Housing, flight, tuition, living expenses, everything. So I went down with my bike, did a lot of mountain biking all around. That was the best way to get around. The problem I had was that's not going to be resurrected. I was seen as a foreigner. It's such an isolated island, and 15 million people back then, 12 million back then, and they just look at me and tell that I was a foreigner, and I couldn't figure it out. It's like voodoo logic and some strange kind of perception. Even the dogs knew I was a foreigner. They would rip and howl, 3 times louder than they would passing by if the person was from Australia. Well, I learned part of it was my baseball cap, which I wore to protect myself from the sun. That's why I don't have a fried face now. And a guy was driving me around King's Cross, which is, I don't know how to describe it, the Vegas Strip maybe, or Venice Beach, a combination of all of these sleazy places, strip clubs, tattoos, liquor stores. I didn't go in, he just drove me around to see it, and he looked over me and he said, would you please take off that silly hat? And so I did. This guy was ashamed to be with me in a dark car through a radical, licentious, tourist-oriented dive into sin. His main concern was not to be seen with a guy with a baseball hat and of wearing baseball hat. And then I thought it was my socks. They pulled them up high, which always looked bizarre. So I started pulling my socks up high. Still, they recognized me. Accent was instantaneous. I was in one particular pharmacy and looking at magazines, and someone chatted to me, and I responded in the whole room. Same thing in the bank. The whole room looked around and stared. We were just curious. In this country, unless you lived in a small town, nothing like that would distract you. Long story short, I couldn't take the attention. of being a foreigner. I could do it now. I mean, that's pretty highly functioning. I could do it now, you know, but back then I couldn't stand to be the center of attention. So I did not go to graduate school, but learned to love Australia in the month I spent down there. And there's, you know, another 2 hours of stories there, but I'll just leave you now.